Alright, say your name, please.
Hi, my name's Lee. My name's Paul. My name's Mark. Why did you lie to me?
Why did you lie to me?
Why did you lie to me?
What are you talking about?
Where were you?
Where was I when?
That day. The worst day.
You know I was at work.
There was no one here.
I wish I had been, but it was impossible.
You should have made it possible.
I can't make the impossible possible.
I wish it were you. I wish it were you in that building instead of him. Wish it were you in that building instead of him. I wish it were you in that building instead of him.
Alright, everyone, go ahead and take an hour. I've got a lot of thinking to do.
5,000. You are now in the lead with 20,800. Over to Thomas Horn. 19,800. We're looking for census. We got census. If he risked more than 1,000, and wow. Hello. The kid's a gambler. 31,800 for Thomas Horn. Congratulations.
Hey, Trebek? Yeah.
Hey, guess what, Mr. Daldry? It worked. I never fall for Oscar bait. Ever. The Deer Hunter, which was the first movie, according to Wikipedia, to seek out Oscar nominations to market a movie, was so boring. It's 2 hours and 30 minutes of small town problems, and 30 minutes of... It was the longest 3 hours of my life. Oh my god, Driving Miss Daisy plays out the way you think it will play out. The white lady who would not dare befriend a black man befriends a black man. The corniest movie ever. And of course, the ultimate form of Hollywood propaganda, La La Land. Let's try again. And of course, the ultimate form of Hollywood propaganda, La La Land. La La Land.
Where's Dame Dame?
And let me tell you, this movie has all the elements for perfect Oscar bait. A mental disorder, a horrendous tragedy. It comes out very late in the year. But I'll admit, I was baited and I was snatched. This is the one time out of the Academy's 91-year history where they got it right. Extremely loud and incredibly close. Oscar Schell finds a key left behind his father who died in the World Trade Center on 9/11. Alright, let's get this out of the way. The strongest scenes of this movie are the ones that are the most difficult to watch.
I'm talking about the scenes that bring us back to September 11th, 2001.
Each time they flash back, it evokes such tremendous sorrow.
Such as the scene where Linda begs her husband to find a staircase and to get out of the building, as well as the scene where Oscar hears his father's last words and then sees him die on national television.
Mr. Daltrey makes you feel their pain, their fear, their sadness in these flashback scenes. And the worst part about it, a lot of people have gone through this before.
The movie begins with Oscar Schell's monologue about skyscrapers for dead people, which would be built under the skyscrapers for the living people, a whole world being built underneath the living world.
This is obviously an analogy for Ground Zero. 2,977 people gone. Their remains under the rubble of what were the Twin Towers.
We then go to a funeral for Thomas Schell, but it's just an empty box, which is the reality most people affected by this tragedy had to face.
Robbed of the chance to say a proper goodbye.
Oscar is angered by this. To him, this doesn't make any sense. It's just an empty box.
And this is what he struggles with throughout the entire movie. Trying to make sense of things when everything around him doesn't make any sense at all. Now, the argument scene is a very pivotal scene, and it's very intense.
It begins with Oscar, knowing that his life could be taken at any second, talking about his burial arrangements with his mother. His mother tries to comfort Oscar, stating that he doesn't have to worry about dying anytime soon. Then Oscar goes off by saying, "What does she know? She buried an empty box. And as his mother speaks to Oscar, he covers his ears because this is the harsh reality he has tried to avoid facing.
I don't know why a man flew a plane into a building. I don't know why my husband is dead. But no matter how you try, Oscar, it's never gonna make sense because it doesn't. It doesn't make sense.
There's a plethora of political reasons as to why this horrendous tragedy occurred, but still, many people today, including myself, are dumbfounded by the fact that 19 people willingly hijacked a plane and crashed it into 2 buildings. To this day, we still ask, why?
This is one of the reasons why Oscar is so dedicated to finding out what the key he found opens. Maybe it will lead to something his father left behind for Oscar to help him make sense of all of it.
The main reason he is so dedicated is because this is the only thing that keeps him and his dad connected after his death.
So his journey begins by finding the key. On the envelope, it says Black. The next thing he does is look in the phone books to find all the people who have the last name Black that live in New York. 472 Blacks. And Oscar intends on meeting all of them to find out what the key may open.
And you may think this gets repetitive, him going from door to door, asking people, do you know what this key does? But no, it's the opposite. Watching Oscar go from borough to borough to find out what the key may open was highly entertaining. At times it was exhilarating, other times it was heartwarming, other times it was comedic, and sometimes it was just depressing.
The first person he meets is Viola Davis's character, Abby Black. Obviously, considering she's the first person, she doesn't know anything, but she plays a very important role later in the movie. After he meets with a few characters, such as the woman who prays for him and the man who was a woman who was a man all at the same time, someone moves into Grandma's apartment, and this movie only calls him the renter. The renter doesn't talk, and Oscar talks a lot, so it's like the perfect pairing, and seeing how they bounce off each other is just really funny.
You know, I don't say anything when you walk too slowly, because you can't help it. And I don't say anything when you go to the bathroom 3 times an hour, because I know you need to. But you could eat a little faster.
This one's for you, sir. Yes, Max von Sydow definitely deserves his Oscar nomination because his facial expressions were just so good. He didn't even need dialogue because his face could do all the talking. Oh my god. I know I bagged on you acting majors. This film could have been the perfect thing to show high school kids who are trying to major in acting that this is the thing that's probably going to happen to you. No matter how much talent you have, you're probably going to end up like Mia, alone and on the streets. But if you need a movie to watch to improve your craft, then just watch Mr. Cito's scenes in Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. Oscar and the Renter, they bring out the best in each other.
The renter helps Oscar face his fear of public transit, comforting him to the point where he no longer has to wear a gas mask, and the renter is able to open up to Oscar about why he can't speak.
And it's pretty obvious, but the renter is his grandfather. And Mr. Daltrey makes the great decision of not milking this as a big twist to end the movie off.
We basically just get a scene where Oscar goes like, oh, he's my grandfather. And then we get this very powerful scene where the renter listens to his son's final words.
And boy, did I cry. I just cried. No one should have to outlive their kid, and no one should ever have to listen to his kid fear for his life. And that's what the renter had to go through.
Then after this scene, he leaves. While looking through his notes, he realizes that his father circled a phone number and he calls it. The phone number leads to Abby Black, the first Black he ever talked to.
And Mr. Daltrey makes another great decision.
So back when Oscar met Abby, there was this man wandering around the house gathering his things.
This is Abby's ex-husband, the owner of the key.
And guess what? The key really had nothing to do with his father. It's a key for a safety deposit box that was left behind by William's father after he passed away.
Now this may seem like an anticlimactic ending.
All this work Oscar put in, and it all led up to nothing.
Thomas had no idea he was gonna die. No one who went to work on that day did. So him setting up this big, elaborate reconnaissance mission for Oscar to go on before his death doesn't make any sense. It's an ending that brings us back down to reality.
And this hits Oscar hard. He goes home and destroys all of his work because now he realizes the one link he had with his father is gone and that he's never going to come back.
However, And this blew my mind as much as the twist in Collateral Beauty blew my mind.
Linda has been talking to the blacks this entire time? Yeah, after his first few visits, Linda figured out Oscar was talking to the blacks, so he met up with them beforehand, and they treated him more nicely.
And this is a callback to the acts of heroism, such as the Bucket Brigade, and all the wonderful acts of kindness that occurred after this terrible day, where we were all deeply hurt, but we all became united.
All these people who Oscar met along the way took the time out of their day to talk to him, tell them their stories, and do their best to help him just because they all know how bad he must feel. And finally, Oscar and his mom talk about their favorite memories of their father. Something he couldn't do at the funeral because he was just so angry. Then finally he writes a letter to all the blacks that says his father's gone, and as much as that sucks, he realizes he's strong enough to go along.
That throughout his journey, he's grown.
He was afraid to cross bridges, now he runs right past them. Afraid to go on the subway, now he's able to lay across 5 seats. Afraid to go on the swing set, and the final frames of the movie consist of him being all giddy on the swing.
Now extremely loud and incredibly close, Mr. Daltrey is able to create a movie that makes you feel every emotion you've ever felt, and some you've never even felt before in the span of 2 hours and 9 minutes. Yeah, it was Oscar bait, but it's a movie that hits all the right notes and goes above and beyond to make the viewing experience amazing. Hey Thomas, what does this key open, huh? Hey Thomas, you bring your tambourine to school? Hey Thomas, let's go on the swing. Or are you two chicken? Hey Thomas, hey Thomas, hey Thomas, hey Thomas, hey Thomas.